may be that we just have to swallow it, and there is such a thing as a DevOps engineer. But for me, it's, we need people in the team that have platform type skills, that understand infrastructure, can write those scripts that maybe the person doing the UI work isn't that good at, or and so you just need to make sure you have the healthy mix in the team, and you've got everything you need to get the thing over the line.
How close do you really need the DevOps engineers to your software developers, right? So DevOps engineers versus software engineers, and what's the main difference between the two? I'm just going to run away now. Who wants to slap me first?
Want to go?
Go on, Dave. Dave was itching down the end there.
Itching.
And he's the furthest away from me, so that's great.
I think this is the easiest one, right? Because what is a DevOps engineer, right? Like we all think, DevOps is a culture, is a way of thinking about how you do things, and it's a mindset. And it's frustrating. And it's frustrating how the kind of label for DevOps engineer has kind of come up, mainly used as a recruitment tool to attract, certain people. So. And I suspect, I'm intrigued if anyone on the panel kind of disagrees with that. But, so fundamental, thing is, what is a DevOps engineer? That said, it is important to recognize that in order to be a great team, you do need to bring different skills to bear. So it's not that you don't need different skills, but that label is probably, unhelpful, and there's probably better ways to think about it.
Okay, I'm just going to poke this bear a little bit. I'm not calling you a bear.
It's probably fair.
But we have QAs, we have business analysts, we have other, we have infrastructure, we have other people who have dedicated roles. Why are these poor engineers got to do everything now?
But that's the thing. I think we're not saying, or at least I'm not saying, that they've got to do everything.
Okay.
I'm saying that there are different terms, different ways of making sure you've got the right skill set in a team in order to achieve the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. But it's a kind of misappropriation of DevOps, to label an engineer that way.
Well, I couldn't agree more. DevOps is a mindset, and that's what we want to. That's what we want in our teams. I have to say, though, I've sort of been through this before. When I was a university, digital was noughts and ones, and the industry suddenly decides that digital means a type of person or whatever and whatnot. And so I think, unfortunately, these things happen. And I think, it may be that we just have to swallow it, and there is such a thing as a DevOps engineer. But for me, it's, we need people in the team that have platform type skills, that understand infrastructure, can write those scripts that maybe the person doing the UI work isn't that good at, or and so you just need to make sure you have the healthy mix in the team, and you've got everything you need to get the thing over the line.
But what's the job I'm applying for? Because if it's software engineer and I walk in the door and I've got to set up a whole load of environments and stuff like that, I'm going to be annoyed, aren't I?
Yeah, but you advertise for a set of skills. You've got a software engineer, you've got a
DevOps engineer.
An engineer.
An engineer as opposed to a programmer.
Honestly,
I get very sniffy about anybody who's just straight out of a boot camp or out of school calling themselves an engineer.
Yeah.
That is a profession.
Yes.
Right? And the reason you get to be a profession is because the things you do have an impact on society.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be professional. So I get really, because often it's like, developers call themselves engineers as a way to make QAs and BAs and delivery people feel less. And I'm going, we all work in engineering. Some people, I got to a point in one of my companies where I was so pissed off about it. I said, no one gets to use engineer in their title until they're a principal. By then, you're round enough that you are an engineer. You can call yourself principal engineer. The rest of y'all can get other titles. Tough. That went over well. But I think the difference is, yes, there will always be T-shaped people that put they Jones on it. You can see it. They makes their eyes sparkle, and that's what makes them happy. Just like some people are amazing at UI. But I would expect that if you're building a round skill set, you should be comfortable. If you're not thinking about how your software runs, how efficient it is, how it gets deployed, how is it going to be containerized? How am I going to observe it? Are you really writing software? Like, and if that's not part of your lexicon and part of what you're learning, I think we do our folks a disservice. So yeah, there'll always be people for whom they do the DevOpsy stuff. But I would feel like I wasn't doing my job if my engineers didn't learn that and know that was part of what we expected them to know.
So thank you, Rennie. So hopefully you guys realise I was playing devil's advocate there. I actually agree with the panel on this one. But what was really interesting, a couple of things that Rennie said there was about learning and developing different skills within the role. So as technology leaders, I imagine one of the things that happens to us quite often is somebody who's been a developer for 6 months turns up and says, I'm thinking of moving on. I'm not getting promoted. I'm not getting that exciting project. And my response to them, it usually involves having a beer, but my response to them is hone your craft, right? Because it's not just one, I built an app. Well done, you built an app. Did you make it resilient? Did you make it completely scalable? Is it secure? All of those different skill sets are really important. And I like the way you describe that sort of learning journey there.